The remembrance events will not be disturbed. Whatever protests and other events go on, we will do our utmost to protect those because they are so critical. People shouldn't be in fear that those are going to be compromised. We will do everything possible to make sure they're not.
Also on the programme, white empty office space in the capital has hit a 30-year high as more of us work from home. Cyclists call for changes to London's most dangerous junctions, and Mayor says he's committed to making them safer. And
I'm at the Natural History Museum, where T-Rex has been given a festive makeover.
Hello, good evening. I'm Samantha Simmons. Welcome to the programme. Yesterday, the Metropolitan Police urged the organisers of a planned pro-Palestinian protest on Saturday to postpone the demonstration over what they said was the growing risk of violence or disorder. Tonight, the Met Commissioner said he can't ban the protest. Sir Mark Rowley said unless there's a real threat of public disorder, his hands are tied. He's promised the remembrance events at the Cenotaph will not be disturbed. Correspondent Carl Mercer has more.
This was London last weekend. It seems it may look pretty similar this one, with thousands of protesters expected to demonstrate on Saturday over events in the Middle East. Political pressure has been growing to restrict the march, maybe even ban it. London's police commissioner says that bar hasn't yet been reached.
If over the next few days the intelligence evolves further and we get to such a high threshold, and it's only been done once in a decade, where we need to say to the Home Secretary we think it's got to the stage we need to ban the march element, then of course we will do. But that's the last resort that we haven't reached yet.
This was Armistice Day last year at the Cenotaph. The Commissioner clear he wants a similar picture this Saturday.
The remembrance events will not be disturbed. Whatever protests and other events go on, we will do our utmost to protect those because they are so critical. People shouldn't be in fear that those are going to be compromised. We will do everything possible to make sure they're not.
If the people who are demonstrating in connection with what's happening in the Middle East respect the physical boundaries which their demonstration should take place in, then that should be absolutely fine. And I hope they will keep away from Parliament Square and Trafalgar Square and critically, of course, the Whitehall and the Cenotaph.
The Armistice Day commemorations take place at 11 a.m. on Saturday at the Cenotaph in Whitehall, and the planned march is not due to start until 12:45 in Hyde Park, before making its way south, across the river and on to the American Embassy.
The reality is, 2 or 3 weeks ago, because we were planning weekly marches, we'd indicated that on November the 11th, we would want to march away from the centre of London, away from the Cenotaph. We knew that the major commemorations don't take place till the Sunday, but we didn't want to disrupt any preparation for those. That was agreed with the police.
Banning demonstrations is a rarely used power. This is believed to be the last time a planned march was banned in London, when the English Defence League weren't allowed to parade through Tower Hamlets and made to have a static demonstration instead. So what does Sir Mark make of the Home Secretary calling the latest demonstrations hate marches?
There's a diverse range of people there. There are many people who are pacifist and perfectly behaved and just discharging their sort of public right to protest. And there have been small groups of people who've been violent, who've been difficult, who've been showing some support for prescribed organisations, I say. But there's a range of people there. I wouldn't use one phrase to characterise 100,000 people.
Talks between the march organisers and police will continue over the coming days. Carl Mercer, BBC London.
Apologies for the sound issues earlier. Hopefully you can hear me clearly now. And there is lots more to come on the programme, including working from home, how demand for office space is changing in London as more of us choose hybrid working. And
join me, I'm in Covent Garden for the latest Christmas light switch on. As you can see behind me, 140,000 LED Christmas lights here in London.
King Charles opened Parliament for the first time in his reign today and addressed MPs and peers in the House of Lords. His speech lasted for around 11 minutes, and as we've heard, there was a plan to invest in transport, although largely in the north, a law to prevent children smoking and tougher sentences for serious offenders. Well, let's get an idea of what was most relevant to London from our political editor, Tim Donovan, who's at Millbank. Tim.
Let's start with something local, very local. Plans for a national Holocaust memorial to be created by the House of Lords over the way there. These plans have been around since 2015, but there's been a big problem in the way. Some opposition, but a problem in the form of a restriction on developing anything on these gardens, Victoria Tower Gardens. We'll see whether this new law is going to be able to get around that. That's the intention. As for other measures, housing particularly featured, reforms for those renting, a promise to end no-fault evictions, but a big caveat that this is going to clearly take some time because legal processes have to be sorted out first. Then there's a question of leasehold reform, so those people with leaseholds who want to extend those leaseholds will find it more simple and cheaper, it's promised, and indeed if they want to buy the freehold. But while there will be no new leasehold houses allowed, no such restriction on leasehold flats. And then finally, a really specific measure for the capital, the pedicabs in brackets London bill, which will finally bring regulation to those vehicles that you see often in the West End. And Ross can tell us a lot more about that.
A bill will be introduced to deal with the scourge of unlicensed pedicabs in London.
They've been on borrowed time for a while. Today, though, came the crackdown on London's pedicabs.
I was overwhelmed. You know, this is a campaign that I've been running for 10 years, 6 in Westminster Council and then 4 in Parliament. And, you know, it was just the most amazing feeling because I know it's going to make such a difference to places like the West End, Marylebone, Soho, because people have to put up with so much noise and disruption from these pedicabs.
Not only that, there have also been claims of overcharging. Back in July, we featured April, a tourist from Belgium who'd been charged £464 after riding in a pedicab with her 2 kids for 7 minutes.
I'm just mad that the guy got away with this and he actually just did this.
The announcement today will see pedicabs regulated in a much more licensed way, particularly when it comes to the riders. They'll face criminal background checks. Fares should be regulated in some way, and also the vehicles will face checks as well.
As a company, for us, it's actually very handy to have basically legislation and some rules and regulations for the operators, which includes insurance. And for us, that's been an issue. We've been competing against operators who don't follow any rules, who can do what they want, and that makes it difficult.
On the street today, there was broad support for the plans.
I think you make sure a standard fare for tourists coming in and that people don't get ripped off.
They don't have licences, they're on a bike, they don't look very sturdy, and that's not a real taxi, and the music is horrendous and it's too loud.
Westminster Council chalked this up as a partial win.
We welcome this long overdue effort to tackle pedicabs, but we've been here before, so I'll wait to see this become an Act of Parliament before I break out the celebrations. But the reality is there is a massive missed opportunity to also tackle e-bikes and e-scooters, which the government promised it would do with a previous transport bill that was promised in 2022, but is now nowhere to be seen.
If all goes to plan, licensing will be in place by next summer, and well over a decade of unregulated pedicab rides will come to an end. Ross Miklashevich, BBC London.
And Tim, when we're talking about the bill, what's sometimes interesting is what's not included.
Yeah, very interesting, because it often indicates where rhetoric may have run ahead of reality or where practical difficulties have been encountered. Some people expected that there might be a law here or proposals to prevent or make it harder for councils to introduce low traffic neighbourhoods or indeed 20-mile-per-hour limits, and nothing forthcoming there. But the indication is that maybe that is because the government feels that it can issue guidance and it doesn't need a law change. There had been a lot of talk and a lot of pressure to introduce a new law and a ban on conversion therapy. You know, that practice of wanting to force people to change their gender identity. No proposal there. I mean, in the King's speech today was a talk of investment in Network North, the trains up there, but of course that just highlighted why there is nothing there now about High Speed 2, and there was nothing there if something was needed to indicate what's going to happen at the Euston end around Euston Station. And just finally, something that former Prime Minister Theresa May said she was unhappy about, there was no new Mental Health Act to improve provision there.
OK, Tim in Westminster, thank you. Now, for many of us, the COVID pandemic has really changed the way we work. The ability to log on remotely means that empty office space in the capital is now at a 30-year high. As part of her Working in London series, this week Tara Welsh has been looking at how these changes could affect the commercial sector in the future.
Good morning, Martin. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Good, good. How was the weekend?
Yeah, very good. Watching the rugby.
Small talk you might normally hear in an office kitchen, but Deirdre's at home and so is her colleague Martin.
So we've shifted from being an office-based company after COVID to being a completely remote company.
Deirdre runs a furniture search website. We met her in central London as she visited a client, but she's been able to work from anywhere, Portugal, Ireland and even Australia, because her team of 15 don't work from a traditional office.
We operate a flexible working policy, and there is core hours, of course, where we need people to be available for when there's meetings to connect with other colleagues. But out of that, it's really about the output that you're getting. So that can work around people's lives. If you need to run off at 4 o'clock to do the school run, but you might come back on and do an hour at 9 o'clock in the evening, we're happy for people to make it work for themselves.
She does think they'll need an office as they grow and bring in graduates who'll need to learn from experienced staff. But some bigger firms have been reducing their office space in the capital. In the summer, HSBC announced it was downsizing as it was committed to flexible working. And the tech giant Meta paid to break its lease on some of its offices. While some businesses allow their staff to completely work from home, others have adopted what's known as a hybrid model, where staff come in or work from home a couple of days a week. But that's having a big impact on how many empty offices there now are. And London's vacancy rates are at a 30-year high. This part of London, the Canary Wharf area, has been particularly hit hard. And headlines even suggested the office market was facing a rental recession. So how worried should people be when they read headlines like that?
The trends are above historic levels, but actually if you look at the makeup of that vacant space, it's actually a lot of it is now not to the standard that a lot of companies and their employees actually demand.
Kate says companies want to make spaces more appealing to employees and that developers are also thinking about changing the use of some buildings. So do you see some of these vacant spaces becoming homes then? Is that a possibility?
That is a possibility, yes. There are planning restrictions and things that need to be worked through around that because the safety and the use of office buildings, residential, is a bit different. But certainly developers are thinking much more creatively about new developments and about refurbishment.
London is still building and changing, and what the world of work will look like will probably be very different to what it once was. Tara Welsh, BBC London.
Let's bring you a roundup of some of the day's other news now. Disney has defended its decision to recreate the aftermath of London's 7/7 bombings for a new drama after survivors branded the move shameful. Pictures shared online show scenes depicting the aftermath of the bombings, which left 52 people dead. Disney said the series is a factual dramatisation of events and its research was carried out with the utmost respect. Passengers are being warned to expect severe disruption on the DLR today and tomorrow because of strike action. Members of the RMT union have walked out in a dispute over pay. Transport for London is urging customers to check before they travel. Thames Water says around 90% of properties in Surrey which lost their water at the weekend have had their supply restored, although it will take a while for pressure to get back to normal. 12,000 homes and businesses in the Guildford and Godalming areas were cut off due to a technical issue at the local treatment works. A call tonight for more action to make London's most dangerous junctions safer for both pedestrians and cyclists. You might remember these demonstrations at junctions in London where cyclists have died. While some of them, like this spot at Holborn, have been redesigned, campaigners say there are many more that need urgent attention. To date, London's 10 worst junctions for cyclists were identified by campaigners. Our transport correspondent Tom Edwards has been to one of them in South London.
As this helmet camera footage shows, cycling in London can sometimes be dangerous, especially at junctions. Here a car, without indicating, turns across the path of a cyclist who is filtering on the inside. The cyclist in this incident was okay. Today, London Cycling Campaign named 10 of the most dangerous junctions. The worst were this cluster of roads joining Upper Tooting Road in South London. Celia Duncan regularly cycles here.
This person is coming left, so it's not so bad, but it's when they're turning right out of Ansell Road and they want to go left into Lessingham. Look there, just moved forward. That cyclist went, whoa, they're going to come out. And so at best, it's very uncomfortable. At worst, you're going to be hit. And that is unacceptable.
So the junction needs redesigning?
Well, I think you could they are trying to change these junctions a bit, but as I say, I think it's sticking plaster. So this is a no entry, so you can't, a vehicle can't turn left into this road, but that's half of the problem. You can see all the people coming out of the road is still a major problem.
The latest data shows that there have been 11 serious injuries and 18 slight injuries on this section of road in the last 5 years. It's on Cycle Superhighway 7, a main north-south cycling route. 3,000 cyclists a day use it. Campaigners want the mayor and local councils to make this type of dangerous junction much safer.
What we're worried about is that Transport for London is dragging its feet on safety because it's worried about journey times for buses and for general traffic. We're worried that just saving a few minutes for drivers is not saving lives. It needs to be the other way around. Safety needs to be first. Get home a few minutes late, but get home.
City Hall says it has quadrupled the cycle network since 2016 and accelerated the 20 miles an hour speed limit programme, and will continue to work with councils to make cycling safer. But campaigners say much more needs to be done to reduce the chance of this happening. Tom Edwards, BBC London.
Now, the former World Footballer of the Year and ex-Chelsea player Andrei Shevchenko has helped to launch a charity which aims to pay for Ukrainian students' education. The Oxbridge Foundation will fund up to 20 scholarships and bursaries for Ukrainian students aged 17 to 19 whose education has been impacted by the ongoing war. Lewis Coombs has more.
Since the war started, the life is very difficult, especially in the last months, because the attention kind of shifted from Ukraine with different problem in Israel, in Gaza. Obviously, we need to bring that back that attention to Ukraine. We need some support from the rest of the world. Ukraine really need that.
It's also where your family are still based. How hard is that for you to see your mother, your sister back in Kyiv?
I just recently been in Ukraine, went to visit family, went to visit also the hospitals, hospitals for children, hospitals for soldiers. Since the war started, it's very difficult, but I'm not give up. The people in Ukraine is never give up. And we're gonna keep fighting give the freedom for our country.
Is it hard to maintain that conviction, that hope, the longer the conflict goes on?
But we don't have any option. We have to do that because this is all about to be in life for us, to have a Ukrainian country. This is what we're fighting for the future.
This is about opportunity as well, isn't it? Because people's futures are being shaped by the war. Initiatives like the Oxbridge Foundation, that's going to provide more hope.
I think it's create great opportunity for a student who doesn't have financial opportunity to come, the best student to come and study, come back to Ukraine and be involved in the future of Ukraine.
And how important is education in that process about rebuilding your country?
It's everything. I think the education is a more important part. I'm not sure the numbers, but I think there's more than 8 million Ukrainian people move from Ukraine in different parts of the world, and that is the reason why I'm supporting foundation. This is going to be a good fundament for the future of Ukraine. We really need the rest of the world to be behind us.
Andrei Shevchenko on his new foundation there. Now, there may still be more than 6 weeks to go until Christmas, but it is already arrived in some parts of London, with festive displays and lights already illuminated. And as the colder weather sets in, ice rinks and winter events are opening across the capital in the run-up to December the 25th. Let's join Barry Caffrey, who is soaking up some early festive spirit in West London. Barry.
Hello, Samantha. Yes, this is the Natural History Museum, and how fantastically festive does it look. This is Tyrannosaurus Rex, or T-Rex as he's more commonly known. He's been here since 1992. He was unveiled back then by the late Princess Diana, and all of the staff have been very, very busy here, working until the early hours of this morning, getting this Christmas display to look the way it does now. Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Sam Barnes. And Sam, talk to me first of all about the fashion of T-Rex and about this whole display.
Well, thank you for coming down to talk to us today, Barry. So it is becoming a tradition for us here at the museum to launch Christmas and our Christmas jumper on our jumbo T-Rex here. Now, this jumper is 12 times bigger than our actual Christmas jumper and is made from recycled fibres. And the wonderful background you can see there was designed by one of our team, Sevilla. So you can book your family a free ticket, come on down and take the perfect festive selfie.
Now, Christmas is such an important, busy time of the year, particularly so for museums like the Natural History Museum. What have you got taking place in the run-up to Christmas?
Well, on top of all of our usual exhibits, we've also got an out-of-hours Christmas event where you can take part in winter workshops, and you can also meet one of our 350 scientists. For the little ones, we'll have some storytelling with Santa. And of course, you can come down and see our entire festive range, with all of these helping support all the vital scientific research being undertaken here at the museum.
Which is, of course, so incredibly important. We've got a T-Rex behind here, which is one of your most famous dinosaurs. You're going to be saying goodbye to another dinosaur soon.
Yes, that's right, Barry. So our Titanosaur exhibition, one of the largest mammals to ever walk the earth, will be closing in January. So if you want to get up close, time is running out. But information about that and everything I've spoken about is all on our website.
Sam, thank you so much. And just to remind you, there are just 47 days left until Christmas Day. Well, earlier this evening at Covent Garden, the Christmas lights were switched on and Mike Mackenzie went along.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1!
So that was Nicole Scherzinger, who literally just turned on the Christmas lights here in Covent Garden. They're boasting of 140,000 LED lights, a 60-foot Christmas tree. Well, let's go and talk to some of the people who have come out tonight.
I've come from York today for the day, so just having a day out. So
What do you think of the Christmas lights?
It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
We heard that the lights were being turned on, so we thought we'd do a little pop down.
Yeah, no, exactly. Came to see them switch on the big tree.
Just for getting the festive spirit, you know? What's so great about the lights here?
I think it's that they're all around, you know what I mean? And then you've got the music and the decorations inside. And yeah.
No, I agree.
Well, if you're planning a big light display where you live, do share your photos and footage with us. You can email us at hellobbclondon@bbc.co.uk. The address is on your screen right now. Time for a look at the weather. Here's Sarah Thornton. Not quite festive yet.
It's starting to get there. This morning it was a little bit nippy, wasn't it? Do you remember? It was, yeah, we had clear skies. It was a beautiful start to the day, mind you, but it certainly felt quite chilly out there this morning and like winter might be round the corner. As we go through the next couple of days, it's going to be all change again. We do have some more unsettled weather, but today was just one of absolutely beautiful, glorious sunshine. Even into the afternoon, we kept that sunshine and really right the way through till the end of the afternoon when we started to see gorgeous sunsets coming through. But there is some cloud out towards the west, a real stripe of it here. That's been edging its way towards us, and that is a weather front which is going to bring us some rain as we go through tomorrow. So it started to edge in overnight tonight. Not with us really until sort of mid-morning, lunchtime tomorrow. Sweeps through quite quickly. Behind it, it's a question of some showers for the end of the week. So the headline for tomorrow is it's certainly not like today. There will be rain moving through, although, as I say, dry by the end of it. For the time being, it is pretty chilly out there already. The temperature's falling away. And actually will be as low as 3 degrees at first, but then as that cloud starts to push in, the temperatures lift up. So we're 8 or 9 Celsius to start tomorrow morning with cloud, and then eventually that rain sweeping in from the west. There will be some heavy bursts, but it does zip through quite quickly, and by the end of the day, it's taking the cloud with it. Might even get a little bit of late sunshine here and there. Top temperature 12 or 13 Celsius. As I say, it showers after that. For Thursday, there will be some sunshine, but there will be some showers, a fair old breeze. They move through quite quickly. So it is a bit of a mixed day. And again, temperatures 11 or 12 Celsius. So it's starting to feel like a little bit cooler. After that, into the weekend, let's take a look at the air mass chart. You can see we will start to drag in some colder air. But with that, there will be sunshine at the weekend. And then we start to see the oranges approaching as we head through Sunday, and that means we've got some milder air moving in. So a little bit topsy-turvy. It's that question of, would you rather have the clear skies, the sunshine, and feel a little bit colder, or would you rather have a bit more in the way of rain and wind and the temperatures do a little bit better? Tomorrow, then, we will see that rain sweeping across us. And although it looks pretty wet for Thursday, it's actually showers for Thursday and for Friday too. More in the way of sunshine for Saturday. You can see it's pretty chilly there. We'll have some cool starts too. Turns a bit milder next week, but there will be more rain and wind around.
Sarah, thank you. A little bit of everything. Thank you. Just a reminder of our main headlines before we go. MPs have been debating the King's speech after the King laid out his government's priorities before the next general election. There were 21 bills in all, with a focus on the criminal justice system, housing and the economy. Hundreds of Palestinians have been moving to the south of the Gaza Strip after an Israeli assault on Gaza City. More than 10,000 people have been killed in Gaza since 1,400 civilians died in Hamas attacks in Israel exactly 1 month ago. Nearly 300,000 women in England may be eligible for a drug that helps prevent breast cancer. Anastrozole has been used for many years to treat the disease after diagnosis. It's now been licensed as a preventative option. And a crackdown on rogue pedicab operators in London has been announced in the King's speech. The government's pedicabs bill will hand Transport for London the power to implement a licensing regime. Well, that's about it from me. I will be here later on with our 10:30 programme. In the meantime, you can keep up to date with all of the latest news on the BBC News website and the BBC News app. For now, though, from all of us, have a very good rest of your evening. Thanks for watching.